Hi, Angie. Can you
Hi.
hear me? Hold on. I'm going to stop the recording.
Yeah. This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, Angie. How
Hi, Diana.
how are you?
I'm I am okay. I'm okay
Good.
today.
I love that response. I'm okay right this minute. How about that? I
Yes.
wasn't I wasn't an hour ago, but I'm okay right now. But
And you know what? We have right now. We're here right now. And
yes.
that's the most important.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on the Grit and Grind of Autism and finding light throughout our journey. Um, I just love talking with you. You're such a ray of light. And I know how incredibly busy you are as a mom and in your profession. So thank you for making time. Um, but let's get started by just taking a moment if you would like to introduce yourself and just tell us anything about yourself and your family that you feel like sharing.
Sure. Well, I want to say thank you, Diana, for letting me come. And I will start by I'm probably going to cry. And maybe, Diana, you will too. And whoever listens to this may also cry and or yell and or cheer, and that is totally okay. Those all of those together are okay.
So,
So
full disclaimer,
full
if you're not in
disclaimer.
that mood, maybe pause the pod and come back to it in a couple days when you are in the mood to
Yes,
cry.
totally. Yes. Um, and so everything that I say here today, I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong, but this is what I know today, right? Today. And I wanted to do this and I reached out to you because I am a licensed social worker. I do mental health therapy as my career. I've been doing it for about 20 years. And and I see people I'm spending about 27 hours a week as a therapist. And I reached out because I thought, who deserves to hear like the thoughts and decisions and things that I'm doing are this community of people, very, very special people. So that's why I reached out to you. So thank you
Of
for
course.
letting me share.
Of course. And I'm
Yes.
so grateful.
Yes. So I am Angie, right? Just Angie. I'm also a mom of two um, special needs children, Elsa, 16, and Luke, 13. Um, and I'm also a wife to Dave. Um, I'm also a daughter. I'm also a sister. I'm also a friend. And I'm just me.
I love that. It's a great introduction. We sometimes forget that we're other things, right?
Yeah.
But we also sometimes forget we're just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, I have just want to, tell everybody I've thoroughly enjoyed spending time with you and your family and just absolutely adore your kids. And my Colin is um, lucky enough to see your beautiful Elsa every single day at school. And she's the dearest. She just like lights up a room, like her mom.
Well, thank you,
Um,
Diana. And she loves you too. She talks about you all the time when she
oh,
sees you.
I love that because when I do go into school and observe, her teacher usually comes and says, Elsa wants to say hello to you. And so
Yeah.
we go in and
Yeah.
talk for a few minutes. And it just makes my day. I love it.
Thank
Um,
you.
but I just wanted to ask, before we get started, and I'm going to hand the show over to you in a
Sure,
moment,
please.
but
Yeah.
before we get
Yeah.
started, how did you end up in the field? Was it just a passion of yours always? I mean, you're obviously a wonderful people person. You're so personable and loving, and I can see how it might have been always a passion, but how did it sort of unfold for you?
Sure. Yeah. And I think I'm glad you asked that question, because I think that has made me, I'm in my late 40s, so I feel like I do believe I've become more wise. I don't know if that's true, but I feel like my experiences have helped me with that. So I started when I went to graduate school for social work. I was focused on school-based mental health. So I knew I wanted to do that. I've been a pretty much, I think my friends would say, I was pretty supportive. I don't know, back in high school. I don't know. I I can't remember like what my personality was like back then, but I think I've always been connected with kids and families and giving advice. I think, I don't know, but I did a lot of volunteer work in undergraduate, and I kind of said I think I really want to go into the social work field, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so so I did, I focused in graduate school on school-based mental health, and I did school-based mental health for about 9 years. So I was placed from an agency into a school, and I did lots of work there. And then after that, I moved to a FQHC, which is a federally qualified health center, and worked with a lot of doctors, but also was just doing therapy in the FQHC. And then did a little bit of work at a group practice, which really helped me to then get my own practice. So it's kind of been like these settings and experiences with people, so many people. So as a therapist, I have only been a mental health therapist, like as doing therapy, not like case management or, it's always been as a therapist. So I think what I have to hopefully offer today is based on all these experiences and learning and growing. And I'm still doing that. And there's still things I have to work on. So I hope that answered your question.
It did. I did. And, we're humans, so we're always learning and growing every single day. And I think I just want to thank you sort of for being vulnerable as a person and as a mother, and reaching out to our community and supporting them with your words of wisdom. So thank you. And
Well,
I'm going to.
I hope the words are wisdom. I'll just go off of what I know, what I think is working,
Yeah.
and some good direction for all of us caregivers.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So I'm going to hand it over to you and just let you guide the discussion, and I'll join in every once in a while.
Sure. And you might stop me because I get really excited about
Sweet.
talking about these things.
I love it.
So I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about what I've experienced before, kind of my struggles. And it might ring true for you and for other people, but it could be at variety of levels. So I'm just gonna kind of like throw out my stuff. Oh, and that's very vulnerable, right? But it's okay. So let's just say that probably in a week, there's lots of crying. In a week, there's lots of crying that I do, right? Crying because I'm happy, crying because I'm scared, crying because I'm mad, crying because I'm tired. Wow, am I tired? Let's just talk about that, right? Like, Elsa and Luke have multiple disabilities. And they need a lot of, and I'm going to cry here, but they need a lot of help with so many skills each day. And while that's not their fault at all, it's really tiring.
Yeah.
So they need so much help. And and sometimes when I'm tired, if I didn't get a good night's sleep, sometimes happens, wow, I'm even more tired. And I'm thinking like, how the heck, I don't know if I can use cuss words, so I'll just say heck.
You're allowed to cuss. This is a safe space to cuss.
Well, then let's just say, how the hell am I going to finish this task that I'm doing? There's just points of exhaustion, like, I just want to go to bed right at this very moment. So it's not every day is like that. Mm-hmm. Not every day is like that. And again, I do have help, and I won't go into that today, but that is like my saving grace for everything. But there are moments each day where I'm like, Angie, how the hell are you going to help other people? I say that. So sorry, some days are really hard. I gotta pull myself up. Anyway, and what comes with that is the level of, let's talk about, anxiety, right? Like just thinking about, like, are the kids gonna have a good day? Are they gonna have a seizure? Are they gonna, what's gonna happen at school? Are they gonna get home safely? What the hell is gonna happen if Dave and I die? Oh my goodness, and that flows, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that's every day, mm-hmm. Right? But they don't have another sibling. That scares me. Oh my goodness. So those are things that I might walk around with each day or whatever. It's kind of, again, flowy. So a few years ago, I was thinking, I really need to write a book about my experiences. And the first sentence of the book would say something like this. So I'm having a glass of wine and I just took 2 ibuprofen.
That sounds about right.
So anyway, that was my book. Okay, so I'm going to revise that book. That book is not the same now, but okay. So that would have been my book, right? But I'm not a good writer, so I'm not going to write a book. So I'm just going to stick with this first podcast and see how it goes. But so I'm going to talk about and I could go on, and I don't want to spend time in my struggles. I want to help us. So I'm going to go into my obsessions, if that's okay, Diana, because I think I'd like to be able to talk about my obsessions so that I can go into kind of this like toolkit for us, because that's the most important thing, like the tools that we can use based on each of our struggles.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
So
I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, I think that so many people out there are going to relate. I have no idea what you're going to say, but I can guarantee that so many people out there are going to relate to whatever you obsess about that causes the anxiety that snowballs. And so please, I would love to hear your obsessions.
Well, so I'm actually going to change it up on you. These are actually good. My obsessions are things that have helped me.
Okay. Okay.
I'm switching it up on you.
Okay.
So these are my obsessions. And if my husband hears this podcast, he's going to laugh because he really does think that I'm obsessed about these things. So I'm going to start with, and this book I might reference, but this was one of the first books and I will reference everything that like my obsessions in the kind of like tools, but I read this book about maybe 8 years ago. 8 years ago. It's called The Last Best Cure, by Donna Jackson Nakazawa. I might be mispronouncing her name, but she wrote this book, and I won't go into the details of the book, but it made, she had this part of the book where she was like talking about this article that was made in the Atlantic for foster care parents. And it was called, it was about orchids and dandelions, and how like when you are like some foster kids come in and they might be like dandelions, where like they just kind of like grow and they're okay. Then there's some kids that you may get who are like orchids and need like special, like, you know, just the right amount of water, and the soil just has to be right, and the environment just has to be just so. And then when they grow, they're just the most beautiful things. And she made a connection in a way, like, I can't remember exactly, but I was like, I'm an orchid. And I looked at my sensitivities, because I am a very sensitive person. Dear God, for Dave, who has to do with my sensitivities. But I am really sensitive. But what it made me look at, this is where my revisions on me started. That, and I read this book, right, knowing that my kids had a lot of things going on. And I read that book, and I was like, it's okay that I'm sensitive. That's what I turned it into. And so I obsessed over her, and I talked about her. And till this day, I still talk about orchid and dandelion references. So
it's such it's such a brilliant analogy.
I love it.
Yes.
Yes. So that was kind of this, like, for me, it really grounded me. If that's probably not the right word, but that was kind of the first step. Not first step. I mean, I'm always, you know, again, revising, but I can send you an email with all these books just so that you have reference of them. But
please
I
do.
want to talk about revising, because I use that word a lot as a therapist. But it was a book called Think Again. I read that a few years ago by Adam Grant, who's, I think his job is like an organizational psychologist, and he's talking about revising. We can always revise. We always kind of like, you know, like we can rewrite things. And so if we made a mistake as a parent, which I'm going to tell you, I have made many, that we can revise the next day, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So I hold revisions very dear to me. I use that word a lot. So I am obsessed with Adam Grant. Okay, that's an obsession. I'm going to say I'm also obsessed with a book called Atomic Habits, which is by a guy named James Clear. I don't really know exactly what he does, but he might be like a life coach. But I came across his book, and it just really helps me with, because I am working a lot and also very busy with, you know, 2 kids. I have to figure out strategies to, like, my habits on, like, kind of systems that help me get through. And James Clear's really great. That book is easy to read. It's called Atomic Habits. And so I do talk about him a lot in my life. I'm obsessed with him. I am one of the BCBAs that have worked, that I don't know if they're coming back, but worked with my son, Luke. She talks about the happy medium approach, which I'm obsessed with. And I don't know if I'll get to go into that, because that's more of like parenting stuff, but that's where I pick my battles for my own mental health. Happy medium approach.
Okay.
I am obsessed with this other guy, and again, I'm going to give you the toolkit, and so it's going to like make sense. But I'm obsessed with another guy named Andrew Huberman. He has a podcast called the Huberman Lab, and he's believe he's a neurobiologist and an ophthalmologist, and professes at Stanford. And so his podcast focuses on kind of like kind of the peer-reviewed studies and things in terms of his community, like into the public of the improving the well-being. And he covers so many things. So he is super smart guy. I have to pause and listen to his podcast because it's like I'm going to Stanford listening to him.
Sounds really interesting.
His work has really helped me. And again, I will pull that in with this toolkit I'm going to talk about. I use, as a therapist, I reference a lot a therapy approach called ACT, Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. It's kind of main concept is psychological flexibility. And I take a lot of those concepts and really try to apply it myself. Mm-hmm. So that is also what I'm obsessed over. And the last one, which is the one that I think is, going to be most helpful for us, is a lady by the name of Lisa Feldman Barrett. She's a neuroscientist and a psychologist. She professes at Northeastern. She's super, super smart. And I am really in love with her. And because she's really, I don't know if she's coined the term, but she talks about the body budget. And I that's what I'll get into a little bit today. But so that's like, those are my obsessions. And I don't know if you have any questions about those, because I'm not going, I am not very good at kind of summarizing what people's work, like what they're doing. Yeah. I can only just say that that's what I use to give you those tools.
Yeah, no, it's all sounds very interesting. I'm not familiar with any of them, and I read and research a lot, but maybe it's because it's more accessible in the counseling therapist world. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of like the way that I do it is like, oh, that sounds good to what I need right now, so I'm just going to follow that.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Absolutely. We'll put the links in the podcast notes for others as well.
Great. So let's start with this. Are you okay if I just dive into the toolkit? Because then that's where we're going to have discussions. Okay. Absolutely. So I want to start with this. I wrote myself a note to talk about Wednesdays. All right. So let's talk about Wednesdays. So Wednesdays are half days. Half days of school. And I don't experience this now, and I'm so thankful. But Wednesdays for a long time were my hardest day. Mm-hmm. Or were my hardest days. So I would, prior to me having my own practice, I was probably seeing around average in that week. So I'd work Monday, Tuesday, half day, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. About 35 people a week. And and it was hard because it was, as a therapist, it's hard. Can be a hard job. And then I would come home and I got the kids off the bus and I'm like, all right, what are we going to do for them? How am I going to take care of them and be present with them while I am so mentally exhausted? Mm-hmm. And I would think because we would either do rebounders or I took them to the Y, or I would, I don't know. I would just think about what I'd have to do. And I would just probably be crying and just saying in my brain, I'm so tired. I need help. I'm so tired. I need help. I would kind of replay this in my brain all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know what it was that clicked for me, but I was like, this is tiring thinking like this way. Like, how can I get this day over with? Right. Like, and that's horrible. Like to think about, like, how can I just take care of the kids and get this day over with being so tired? But I know that I'm not the only one that thinks that way. Right. Like, so I kind of, again, I don't know where it came from, but I'm like, I gotta enjoy this time. And I know that I'm tired, Angie, but I'm going to say, like, that thought is there that I'm tired, but I'm going to be as present as I can with Elsa and Luke so that I have the energy for them, because they deserve that.
Yeah.
They don't deserve me be thinking, let's get rid of this, end this day. So I think it started with my mindset on Wednesdays. How am I going to handle that on Wednesdays? And that was that first shift for me. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, Diana, what I just said.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I can relate very much to the dread of Wednesdays. Because I worked for almost 20 years at Hopkins University before it wasn't working out any longer, and I couldn't balance everything. And so I don't remember a lot of it. I was on autopilot, but I did a really good job in all the things. I just don't remember it. And you know, what I will say is that with age, it gets harder. And I mean, a lot of things get easier, but simultaneously the caregiving piece, it is a little bit, it's a grind. It's no one's fault. We will do whatever it takes for our children, but it's really hard on a 48-year-old, so, and then you said one other thing, that it is sad, but I can openly admit that there are days still where I'm like, can I just get through this day so I can go back to sleep? And especially this time of year with the seasonal affective disorder, like that really bothers me. I'm sure, I don't know if it affects you, but I'm sure it affects many, many people listening. And it's just icing on the cake of all the complications. So it makes perfect sense to me, Angie. And you're right. Our kids do deserve that presence. It's just hard to tease out. But that's why you're talking to us now.
So let's talk about, and I know it's going to seem like out of order, and I'm going to try my best to like make sense, because this could be like 3 hours, right? So the present, I'm going to say present moment work, which is a kind of an ACT concept, right? The acceptance and commitment therapy, present moment work. So I'm going to kind of tell you how I do that, with knowing that there's other parts of me that say I'm tired and I want to go to sleep. Okay. So I'm going to give you an example. I mean, I have many. So I'm going to give you an example of what I use. And again, everybody can revise and change it up however works for them. I'm just going to give you these ideas of what I use. So present moment means I'm here and now, even though my brain is saying whatever it's saying, because our brains say a lot of stuff. Okay. But I'm going to pause and I'm going to tell you a little bit about Lisa Feldman Barrett. So why I can talk about our brain. And Lisa Feldman Barrett, oh my goodness, if she ever heard this, I'm probably going to get things wrong. I'm summarizing it the best that I have watched so many YouTube videos of her, and I've read her one book, which was so helpful, called How Emotions Are Made. But I might get wrong what she's trying to say, but I'll just go from my perspective. But so she talks about, well, let me just say that Lisa Feldman Barrett, she's done like 20 years of work on emotions and across disciplines. So I kind of trust her, right? She's reviewed things. I trust her. Anyway, she talks about the brain as like being in the dark, right? And I mean, like, think about it. It's literally in the dark, and it goes off of your past experiences and sensory input. That's what it has, right? Yeah. And so and its job is to, like, our nervous system, our brain is to budget our body. It's called a body budget. That's what she uses. Again, I don't know if she's coined that term, but it's the body budget. So our nervous system is not necessarily, it's not like thinking. It's not for thinking. It's actually budgeting all of the things that it has to do. The brain does a lot of things. Okay. So I use the word, I always say this, like my brain is saying, because my brain is only saying what it already knows from past experiences and sensory input, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So my brain is going to go and say a bunch of things from the past, right? Like, like if my son is doing a behavior, my brain's going to go, oh, what did he do last time? Remember what he did last time? And, oh gosh, I hope that he doesn't do that this time, right? I hope that makes sense to you.
Yes.
Okay. So I kind of want to say, like, our brains are going to go off and do that. They are. And we got to get back into the here and now. So the here and now looks like this. So I have to do like thinking about the morning time and the routines of helping brush teeth, helping wash face, wiping some heinies. Those things are very rote. We have to do them every day, and we can get up all in our brains because they're rote, right?
Yes.
So here and now, ready? This is it. Now, I am biased because they're my kids, but I do find my kids are beautiful. I'm going to give credit to my husband for that one. He's a very handsome guy. But they are very beautiful kids. So, and somehow they have blue eyes, which I do not. And Dave does not either. So, but they have beautiful blue eyes. And so I have to focus on their eyes, right? I'm brushing their teeth. And man, could I get in my head, right? Because it's like I do this every day, 2 times a day, brushing their teeth, right? Now I'm also working on those skills of brushing their teeth, right? Like having them hold the toothbrush. How do I have them hold them? Having them sit up, right? And so I'm like, those things are also going on in my brain, but I'm focusing on their, like, just them and their beauty, right? And looking at them and looking at their little, like, forehead and, full freckles, looking, and very long eyelashes. So again, that's where I put my focus. Now, does my brain go off? Yes, it does. That's okay. I'm going back to focusing on that. Does this make sense?
It does. It does. I understand it. I can feel it. I can see it in my head. And you're right. Our brains start to wander when we're doing something rote. But it's like I knew it, but just hearing you explain it, it was like, I understand that. I do that.
Right. And even if though that means, like, so that is kind of like outward looking, But
Mm-hmm.
the other thing that you can do is literally, like, my feet are on the ground right now, Angie, and that's okay. My feet are on the ground. Or I'm bending over to do some wiping. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, that's okay. I'm getting a good squat in. I know it sounds silly, but this is it.
Yeah.
This is our lives, and that's okay.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying it feels okay at the moment, but that's it. This is
Mm-hmm.
what we have.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Mm-hmm.
what we have.
Yeah.
So I think about that. I think about that a lot. So that's a huge piece of work that is really hard to do. I reference, and I'm gonna so Andrew Huberman talks a lot in his podcast about neuroplasticity.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't go into that whole spiel of neuroplasticity, but when you're fighting this kind of like the default mode of what you kind of go into your head,
Yeah.
and then but forcing yourself to kind of be in the present, I name that as a neuroplastic moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Where we're like kind of doing this, pushing ourselves.
Yeah.
Does
I
that make
understand.
sense?
Absolutely.
It's uncomfortable. It's
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable. And we're even working harder because it's already uncomfortable for us.
Yeah.
Life is
Yeah.
kind of uncomfortable.
Yes. Yeah. Like
Okay.
literally, can you feel it in your brain? Because I can.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So let me talk about this. I make this like reference. I call it a cape, but that's just the way that I describe it. And so it's a cape that we wear, right? When you're talking about like, I feel it, right? You feel the uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
scared, angry, worn out, whatever the word it is, right? Because there's many ways to explain it. I think about it, as I go back to that, who am I, right? Like, who am I? I just said I'm Angie. So Angie's wearing this cape, right? And these experiences that I've had and these things that my brain holds, that uncomfortable, it's almost like this cape has tentacles or strings attached.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
And I'm walking around with those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still me.
Mm-hmm.
Those don't define me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They're just part of my story.
Yeah. Wow. That visualization is so powerful.
And some of those strings can
Mm-hmm.
seem really, really long.
Mm-hmm.
And we get tripped up in them. Let's see, I've never used that, but I'm thinking about it now and like, whew, they're hard.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is this, that like, we forget that we have done like, we are still moving and we're still functioning.
Mm-hmm.
And like, when you think about it, those things don't really define us because we're able to get stuff done. How are we able to get stuff done? Because we are who we are. And those things are not defining us. They're just along with us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know this place. It's in Remington in the city. So I live in the city, but Remington has this place. In Remington has a place called Our House. Like the
Yes,
letter of Our House. Are you familiar with that?
I am. Yes.
Okay. So I don't know when this happened, but there was some artwork that was placed there recently. I don't know, within the last couple of months. And It's so beautiful. I'm going to tell you what this artwork says on the side of our house. I want to get it right because it's going to line up with what I'm sharing with you. The artwork has everything you need is already inside you.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to show you this picture. Oh, it's hard. I'm not used to this Zoom, so I'm like, I don't know if you see it, but so it's on the side of,
I can see it.
It's on the side of our house. And I think I was crying when I read that because I was like, who read my mind?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
We have the tools.
And sometimes we just need the visual or auditorial reminders. I just need you to tell me right now, you have the tools already. And you needed to see that on the wall as a reminder that you have the tools already.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Our life is like that. And I'm going to tell you something that really centers me. Oh, I forgot about my one other obsession, but this is going to match in here. So I am obsessed with listening to Up First, which is from NPR. It's the podcast from NPR, National Public Radio.
Yeah.
And it's Up First. And I'll tell you why I love it. So I listen to it every day, but I love their Sunday episodes. Their Sunday episodes focus on a story. That's a story that they've really done in-depth reporting on. And the way that their perspective taking is just so beautiful. It touches me about things that are happening at a global level, right?
Okay.
Outside of Angie's family, outside of my community, it's like, I recently listened to something that happened related to the people that had moved here from Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what it does, I'm just saying that this is what it does for me. It's like, okay, I have things that are really uncomfortable in my life, and they are there. And while I might not listen to the whole podcast at one moment, let's say it's like 15 minutes while I'm in the shower, that's when I'm listening to it and getting ready, that it makes me say, like, there's another world out there, and there are other things going on outside of me.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, I don't know what the word is, but it centers me in a way.
Mm-hmm. I understand that. I get that.
Yeah. So, that was really helpful for me because I can be like, especially if it was a bad week and, the kids were not doing well, or I, can get stuck. So that really is one of those things where I think it's okay to look outside, and it's not a distraction and it's not an avoidance. It's more just like, okay, there's a world out there and things are going on. Doesn't mean that I can just understand that and realize that, you know what I mean? And be present with that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do I, this one is a big one. And I think about this a lot, which is how to, again, I'm walking around with uncomfortable a lot, tired a lot, scared a lot. All of those are existing within me, and that's okay. But how do I enjoy life, right, with those things? And so to know a little bit about me, I'm a pretty good dancer, so I can move, but I am a horrible singer. I'm really bad. And I can't whistle either. Like, I can't whistle. And when I whistle, it sounds like the same like tone. Dave makes fun of me a lot. But what I do is I still do those things all the time at home.
Yeah.
So like, so funny story is, you know, if you know Elsa, Elsa loves to sing. She loves singing, and she's both of my kids are very funny, but Elsa's hysterical. I mean, she's got her own little personality. And Luke is my, like, he's very sweet and loving and empathetic. Anyway, but going on to Elsa. So being silly. So mornings, what they are really fun. And I am wearing that cape with all the fun things that cape has to offer. And Elsa, it's really fun to get a teenager out of bed in the morning, right? Yeah. Luckily, Elsa loves school. Like she hearts school. And so to get her out of bed into the bathroom to get her ready, I say things like, so she might be like, what did she, oh, this was happy. She was, what was she saying recently that was so funny? Well, so she saw Wicked recently for her birthday, which was a very, very special event. And she must have been dreaming about it. She was like, there's a song in Wicked called Popular. I am going to just put out, this is such a vulnerable situation, but I don't really care, that I'm going to just sing for you. So it's like, you got to be popular. And I'm just messing this up, but she was singing it. I'm like, oh, you want to sing that more and talk about school? All right, let's go to the bathroom. So I get her to the bathroom by kind of singing, and going to talk about school, right? Because she wants to talk about school and what she's going to do at school. So I get her and I'm like singing, and then I'm playing Popular on Google that's in the bathroom. Thanks to Dave for setting that up. So I'm trying to be as present as I can. It's in the morning, lots of things to do. This is the way it looks. I'm singing with her the Popular song from Wicked, and I'm dancing, and I'm like, and I'm in my head a little bit because I'm like, I have lots of things to do today, but I'm also being present with her and singing Popular. And that's being silly.
Yeah.
And fun. That's one example. I also, so Elsa and Luke grew up with listening to Raffi. I don't know if you know Raffi. Baby beluga in the deep blue sea. I don't know. Anyway, he's like an old folk singer. My sister grew up listening to Raffi, and so then like we started listening to Raffi. But he has a song called "You Brush Your Teeth." You brush your teeth. So like sometimes, again, rote activity, brushing teeth, right? Spend lots of time doing that. I'm like, I got to get into present moment. Brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. So like that is that kind of where I shift present moment and being silly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I'm imagining this in my head. And yeah, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And so I think microphones and houses and karaoke machines or just even making the noise is really what we need.
Yeah.
Right? That gets us in the present moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is kind of those like kind of getting through the daily struggles.
Yeah.
But I will say in the, for myself, I am also obsessed with Spotify. I have Spotify, and if people can get that premium special, I do wish that you get that, because then you can get like, if there's a song you like, then it tends to it'll play other songs that you like without commercials. And that's a great present moment I'm calling it, and you can't, and like doing in quotations, present moment, because music, there's a reason music is made.
Yeah.
Music is made to get us to be in it.
Yeah.
When you're driving, even with your teen, child, whatever, by yourself, you can use music.
Mm-hmm.
Get music.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
No, 1,000%. Like, I completely agree with that. And we use music every single day. I listen to music literally all day long. And when Colin, I actually drive Colin, just because we live very far north, and he would need a one-to-one on the bus because of the seizures and all of that. And we can't find one. So I drive him. So we have multiple Spotify playlists, and he is a big, like he's a big Ed Sheeran fan. Like, he's going to the concert in June. And I let him, it's this whole thing. Like, I let him pick the music, and 9 times out of 10, he picks the Ed Sheeran playlist, but that's okay.
What's the shape of you? I feel like I heard that like 20 million times. Yes.
Right. But we also listen to, his repertoire is like grown tremendously because we keep doing it, because it brings us happiness and joy. And we start the day by listening to Mozart, though. That helps us get our day started. And then we end the day with on his iPad in his room, he has on a sleep meditation. It's music, it's not a guided meditation. And sure. I have the same. So literally all day long. And I couldn't agree more. Like, he might not be able to like sing the words vocally, but it's feeding him and giving him so much joy and putting us in the moment, like you're saying.
Yeah. Well, so see where I'm going to reference back. You already have it in you. You're already doing it.
Yes. Yeah.
And doesn't that feel, do you see, like, I see you, and I kind of, like, it is something like, I want you to be like, I mean, sometimes it feels like you don't have it, but you do. You're already doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have it. You're already walking the walk.
I'm sorry. Hang on one second. Something is going on with the adapter. Hang on, Angie. I'm sorry.
You're fine.
Okay. Got it. Solved the problem. Yes.
See? You have it in you.
I'm checking like the end of it, the middle of it, and then finally the other end of it was where the problem was. But yes, it so much. Gosh, music is so therapeutic, right? It's so therapeutic.
Yeah.
And I know it's not what this is necessarily about, but there's a reason it's the universal language, right?
Yeah.
And people all around the world can relate to one song and find happiness and joy or calmness or whatever it might be. And it absolutely does put you in the moment. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And then while Kyle doesn't have the vocals, he knows all of the words. There's no doubt. I mean, he's singing it in his head. He's chair dancing.
Yes. Yes. And that's what, and Diana, that's what you're paying attention to.
Yeah.
You're paying attention to that. You're paying attention to him because that's where you are.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. It's beautiful in its own way.
Yes.
You're watching him knowing that he has those songs in his head.
Yes.
And don't you feel it in you? Like how
Absolutely.
that shifts, like just that shift right there literally takes 5 seconds.
Yep. Yeah. It's almost instant, I think, with music. It's a way just to pull you out of the dialogue in your brain.
Right, but I'm even talking like, so let's expand on even that. Just like, let's say you're watching him and
Yeah.
observing him as him
Yes, absolutely.
and being curious about him. So I use that word, being curious. I don't remember who that was, but it's probably one of the people that I referenced. Being curious. Oh, I think that is Adam Grant stuff, but I don't know. I think it's like where we come from a place of like, again, our brain is going to go. It's a prediction machine. It's going to say, again, from the past experiences, it's going to go on. And I'm going to say, let's shift it to right here.
Yeah.
Like I'm watching Colin move, and is he enjoying life at that moment?
Oh my gosh. He's loving life.
Well, and that's what you're holding on to.
Yeah.
That's living.
Yeah. And so I just want to say that I want to recognize that I think our kids are really good at being in the moment.
Oh, so much. Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they really are. And I notice like Luke is an eye gazer, man. He can look at you and like I think Dave has done like blinking contests with Luke. And he's like, you were kids. And I forget because I can get like I feel like our attention span is like no more than like 8 seconds. So I know quickly that I get in my head. So when I'm like, all right, Luke, I'm looking at you, buddy. Oh man, you are so handsome. Oh, I
Yeah.
see you. Right. Great. And I think we just have to, and it's hard work. We already have hard work, but
Yeah.
we can do it. We can do it. Ready? It's already inside of us. It's already
Yeah.
inside of us. We've already been walking the walk. Let's keep on going.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. It is such a beautiful message.
Thank you.
It really is. Yeah, it really is. And gosh, we need these reminders so much. Like you said, just to keep practicing that the neuroplastic exercises of just right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there truth to if you do it for 21 days, it becomes a habit? Is that true?
No.
Okay. I had a feeling that was a lie.
Okay. That is not what I believe to be true, but who can I reference on that one? No, I mean, and I am not saying to everybody, read all these books that Angie is obsessed over because those are right. Remember, I started this episode for you by saying I could be totally wrong. Right? And I hope that I'm modeling for you that I'm really, so let's just add this. And I love your laughter because we have to freaking be, I could use another word, silly. We have to be silly. We have to be sarcastic. We have to be like, really putting, I'm all about that. I am really an obnoxious person. I really am. And I have to like, I feel like I'm like, again, I told you I'd be excited and I'm sitting in this chair, but really I want to like jump up and down and do jumping jacks. So,
You can.
well, I'm not going to do it. But what like, I have to like, okay, Angie, because again, what I'm wearing is also this my value and the kind of this, my values, and this is values is an act thing, acceptance and commitment thing. My values are being patient, acting in a way that's patient and supportive. And so patient means, Angie, you're going to calm your little self down because everybody else's nervous system, right? I would like to get into the nervous system piece. Thank you, Angie, for reminding me of that. But I'm walking around that everybody's nervous system is not like Angie's obnoxious, high energy nervous system.
Yeah.
But it's okay to be silly.
Yeah.
Let's be silly.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I think people forget how to do it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can you read people's energy? Are you pretty sensitive to people's energy when they walk in? Well, whether it be at work or just out and about?
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I work really hard for the most part to like, even though my nervous system is like, not saying it's always high energy, but it's going, right? My brain is going. I'm feeling it internally, like things are moving, like my heart might be racing, but I have worked really hard to stay calm. It's
Yeah.
hard. But I do probably, and because as a therapist, I want people to feel safe, and I want to model for them that I'm there for them as a support person. So can I tell that they might be? Probably, but I'm not going to say like, I don't know. I mean, does Dave, my husband, say I don't know what he thinks about me, but I think he thinks I can pretty much, he thinks he does leave it to me to communicate to people because I'm better at reading people.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good at reading people. So let's just say that,
Yeah. Yeah.
if that
Um,
answered your question.
yeah. Yeah. No, when you brought up nervous system, um, I don't know. It just prompted me to say, like, can you, you answer my question. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think our nervous systems are probably most people in the world can relate, but I think in our community in particular, like with caregiving, I think our nervous systems are over the top, right?
Yes. Yes. And are you okay? I'll just dig into that
Yeah.
because that's really important. Again, I do parenting work, and as a therapist, because I've worked with families for so long, that's where I started, right? And doing school-based, I had to do a lot of work with parents, because I did a lot of home visits. But um, I quote Lisa Feldman Barrett, and I'm going to get this because it's in my um, so I have this quote that's in my office that says, and this is from Lisa Feldman Barrett, and it says, "We are caretakers of each other's nervous systems.
Oh, wow.
We are caretakers of each other's nervous systems."
Mm-hmm.
And so going back to our cape with the hard work that we're having to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So our nervous systems, so let's talk about first ours, because our kids are getting our nervous systems.
Mm-hmm.
They're with our nervous systems, and our nervous systems are working freaking hard all of the time.
Yeah.
And they are going to get our vibes, whatever that is, right? They're going to get our vibes. But I think about taking care of our nervous systems, which means our nervous systems do our body budget. And so this other piece that's so important is, how are we taking care of our body budgets?
Mm-hmm.
Because, when we think about the sensory, is what are we eating? How are we sleeping?
Mm-hmm.
How are we, like, what are we feeding our budgets? Because we have to take care of our very special children's budgets
Yeah. Yeah.
too. And we're modeling for them.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to take care of ours. Right? Um, I don't know if it made sense of what I say. Like, we have to think about how much sleep we're getting. What are we putting in our system? And all that encompasses, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because that's how we function, and what we're putting in our system.
Yeah.
What are we doing for our system? Are we getting movement in of some type?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that looks like is different.
Mm-hmm.
So
It
I don't
all
know if
makes
that
sense.
makes sense to you.
It does. It does. I just, do you have any suggestions, maybe bite-size
Sure.
suggestions
Yeah.
to, or for our community, for those who might be struggling to the extreme? Like I did mention to you earlier that I am affected by this time of the year with the seasonal affective disorder. I
Yeah.
feel that um, it's not debilitating for me. I can,
Sure.
I'm very aware of it,
Yeah.
but what I do is like set goals, but give myself a little bit of grace, knowing that this is just a harder time of the year for me, like worse than the norm.
Yeah.
So like give myself like today, I'm going to accomplish, whatever it might be, 2 to 4 goals. And then, I have my goals and then that kind of gets me through. But if for those who might be like kind of debilitated by depression or anxiety or whatever it might be, do you have any bite-sized suggestions of how we can sort of accomplish or get to the maybe more of a baseline of what you're describing? You know what I mean? As far as
Sure.
the nervous system and
Yeah.
sleep and eating better and getting more active and things like that.
Right. So let's just say, like, I will use what I do, and
Mm,
then people can, because everybody has a different schedule,
yeah.
right? And everybody has their own kind of way of doing things. And then you can expand on it and change
Mm,
it up. But
mm,
I think, again, I mean, it's very common that winter and the light and all that is really hard. So if it means, again, like, let's see, 'cause again, it's such a individualized thing. So I'm gonna figure out, this is thinking on my feet. I can do it. Where I think it's good to say I'm going to get some outside time,
mhm,
right? I
mhm,
think in where it's daylight, and I think, like, I'm going to reference Andrew Huberman. He talks a lot about circadian rhythm and really helping your system by, if you can, that you get out when the sun comes up, right? But that doesn't always work. Again, I can't do that because I'm getting the kids ready for school. But if you can get some outside time, and that might mean putting on your gloves
mhm.
and putting on your coat and just stepping outside for 5 minutes and breathing in the air. I know that sounds kind of crazy. And people may say, Angie, I cannot do that. I'm with you. I know I'm not, but you're already walking hard. You're already walking hard.
Mhm.
Like, and
Yeah.
it can be, Diana, that you go and, as I see light coming in from your windows,
Mhm.
it may even be that I'm going to open the window, open the shade, and freaking look outside.
Right.
If it's even
Absolutely.
that, I know that sounds kind of dumb, but I'm literally, we got to start from somewhere,
Yeah.
right? So getting some connection with nature. I mean, we could have you could have a whole thing on what nature does, right, to our systems. But if you can connect with some type of form of outside, I think it's really good. I do,
Yeah.
if you can, in some form. Again, I want people to be flexible with that, with what that works, especially in the winter time.
Yeah.
I look at the winter time as, like, I think about when I'm looking outside and kind of trying to work at getting out of my head, right? That, again, my head is not bad. I love my head. I'm going to have a good relationship with my head because that's what I have. That is me, Angie, whatever. But I am, I look and I say this to a lot of the people that I work with, and I say, I'm going to look at the contrast, like the brown of the trees with
Mm-hmm.
the sky is
Mm-hmm.
where I put my focus, and it brings me a whatever it brings. I'm going to say sense of joy. It's that. And I know that sounds kind of dumb, but that's what I do. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that, again, I'm not walking around with uncomfortable. Still uncomfortable is walking around with me. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm also doing that.
Yeah.
I'm also talking, let's talk about when you're saying like movement. All right. So if you like, you get, again, and I don't want people to like, I got to schedule a movement exercise. I am, it is hard to find time to think what we're always thinking, but like, I'm thinking, even if it means, I don't know, give me an idea and I mean, movement could be anything. I did some downward dog, right? With my kid or something. I don't know. Or
Yeah.
I did, or I did some, did some silly dancing there. I got some movement in, right? It could
Mm-hmm.
be, I'm very flexible with that. I think we
Mm-hmm.
should be. That was some movement. Good. We got to get
Yeah.
some in. If I was sitting for a while, let me just stand up and go look outside standing up. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And I think the opening up the blinds is like just a perfect thing, because I think a lot of people do sort of cave themselves in, especially this time of the year, and a lot of people are still working from home and all of that. And if it wasn't for us Zooming right now, these blinds would be open, by the way, because everything downstairs is open. It's like it's part of my process in the morning. I walk around and lift every single blind and open all the curtains for exactly the reason you're saying. And it does help. It helps so much. But it's just about connecting with nature and letting the light in. And it helps your brain more than you know.
And see, you already have it in you. See, you're already doing it.
Yes. Yeah. It goes back to that. Yes. And going to the grocery store and doing laps counts.
Thank you. That's it. Yes,
Yeah.
that is it. I clapped for anybody because, yes, that is it. If it means going to the grocery store, yes, do it. Thank you for reminding me and us. Yes.
Absolutely. So do you have time for one more question
Yeah.
or scenario?
Yeah.
I know you have to go in a few minutes. I don't want to take you off track with your toolkit, because I think you're offering up so many great suggestions. But this one's a little hard, and you and I have talked about this before. So I'm going to try to phrase it in a way that I've talked to other people in our community, and so many people struggle with. So that feeling of isolation or abandonment or rejection from family and friends. So how I'm going to describe it, just for the sake of time and simplicity, is how do we, or how do you find acceptance in in people in our family and in our, in our friendships, in our community, who quote unquote stay in their lane, don't want to get involved, they'll ask if they need help, And then, you know, just you've asked for help and it doesn't come,
Mm-hmm.
or you literally are purposefully or mindfully excluded because of your child.
Mm-hmm.
And moreover, your child's excluded.
Yeah.
And I know that is a loaded question, but what it comes down to is the overactive nervous system, the depression, the anxiety, all of it, the fear, everything just bubbles. It just gets magnified because of these feelings of feeling, abandoned or misunderstood or nobody cares, or, you know, family members I haven't talked to in so long. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
This is across our community.
Yeah. Oh, goodness. Okay, so let's see if I can. Okay, so I'm going to pull in the therapist hat because this one's. I am going to say that I am very grateful that I have such a loving family across the board. I really do, and they just jump in the bandwagon with us. But I'm gonna think about it this way, because these things are gonna exist. We can't. So I say this. It's really hard to change other people's behavior, right? The person that we have, what we have control of is ourselves. We can wish, and we can want, and we can be angry with other people's decisions and things of whatever they bring to the table. And so the short of it is that what you have control over is kind of where you put your focus. You don't have control of what other people do or their actions. And you could stay in that in your brain. You could stay in that for hours and hours and days, forever. And that's where I think that present moment work, and again, this is like kind of, again, I'm not trying to be therapy, but this is where I would go, is that you have the here and now, and you're not going to be able to change other people's behavior. What you can decide are the people, like in the ACT community, accept does not mean agree. When you have acceptance does not mean agree. It means receiving. So you can receive that information that is happening, right? Like, this is happening in my life. You don't have to agree with it. And then you can kind of decide, what are the actions that I want to do that I know best that I can do, even though that this exists with me. Like, and it is hard. It's kind of like, this is a cape string that's very long and difficult, and it's hard. And I could be in my head about it, or I can kind of just say, like, what am I going to do right now? Because you could spend, you can't figure out why the people are doing stuff like that. Just takes so much of our mental effort. Even if you were to communicate to them, like, why are you doing that, or what is this from? It's just, you might never know. You might not get an answer. So I don't really like to spend time in that.
Yeah.
And even if you were to tell them, I didn't really like, that you can definitely do that, but you can't control how they're going to handle that. So that's where I go back to this, like, knowing what I know, and that this is painful. And it is, again, it is painful. It is. I'm not laughing at it, but it's painful with a smile on my face. Yeah. And I can, and in that, and I kind of can, I'm still here. I'm right here. My feet are on the ground, and I have this painful feeling. and I'm going to move forward with whatever decision I make in handling a situation, that is what's going on outside of me. And can't control that. I hope that makes sense. That's just what my short version.
It does make sense. And I thought you brought up a lot of valid points. Is the risk of talking and telling that person how you feel even going to change anything? Are you going to like what the response is? It's all these things. And you're right. You can't change behavior. You can't make people want to be in your life or your child's life. And you can't make people feel thoughtful or be thoughtful either. Yeah. So the only thing I want to add is the tentacle with that is not only long, but it's freaking heavy as hell. It's like a boulder or like a cement boulder you're dragging around. But do you
see how you're laughing about it? Do you see how we're changing? I mean, that's the kind of work I do, is like changing the relationship to it. But do you see how you change the relationship to it just like that, by saying, like, I've got this freaking boulder that I'm walking around with. What the hell?
It's so true. It's so true. And I did need to laugh about it because it's been heavy. It's been heavy for a while. And then there was, a crossroads with it. And then there was this, I don't know. I'm tired of being in that space with it. So
yeah. So now you're going to walk around with a big boulder, but it's going to be. You know what? You're not going to be kind of laughing about it. Hopefully, maybe not. Sometimes.
The visual is pretty funny. I wish I don't have the ability to demonstrate on Zoom, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a really special community. And so I'm so grateful for that, right?
Yes. I mean, hearts to everybody, right?
Yes. Angie, thank you so much for sharing this time with us, with me, with our community. And, I think this is going to be so helpful to our community. It was so helpful to me because there is one of the things, you are mom, like you said, wife, Angie, the friend, the therapist, all these things. There is some validation that comes from talking to someone who understands and also happens to be a therapist. So thank you. Thank you. And thank you for being vulnerable as mom in this space.
Thank you.
So you're going to send us you're going to send me all the links, and then I'll share them in the notes with our community so we can continue to support them. So thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful.
Diana, well, before you stop, I want you to put your hand to your heart.
Yes.
For a minute, okay?
Yes.
Because think of what you've brought to the community.
Oh, thank you.
Take that in, right? Because without you, right, what's inside of you, what you're doing for other people. So take that in.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you. Well, I love you, my dear friend, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.